When the light descended, Xiaoyan realized this was no longer a choice. It was destiny calling his name. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Xiaoyan slowly raised his head, his gaze locking onto the pillar of light that had descended from the heavens and completely enveloped his body. The radiant glow surged like a living entity, rising and falling in silent tides. A trace of bewilderment surfaced on his face, as though in this very instant he had stepped onto a path of destiny that lay far beyond his understanding. For some unknown reason, his heart trembled slightly. He could vaguely sense that the Du Qi circulating within his body had begun to stir, no longer flowing in its usual steady rhythm. Instead, it pulsed in strange waves, sometimes violent, sometimes gentle, resonating faintly with the pillar of light surrounding him. That sensation was profound and indescribable, like a long-lost echo responding to a call from the same source, as though something of identical origin had finally found its counterpart. "It is heavenly flame Do Qi," Xiaoyan murmured softly. He fell into brief contemplation before a sharp glimmer suddenly flashed across his eyes. At that moment, realization struck him like lightning. Ever since cultivating the flame mantra, his Do Qi had been endlessly refined through the devouring and fusion of multiple heavenly flames. Each had not merely strengthened him, but had subtly altered the very essence of his energy. Over time, his Do Qi had gradually taken on a unique nature, fierce, ancient, and domineering, one that bore an uncanny resemblance to the aura now emanating from this pillar of light. The Tosha ancient god. Xiaoyan's breathing grew slightly heavier. After all, the ancient god itself was born as a heavenly flame. Its existence was the culmination of devouring and assimilating countless heavenly flames, evolving into a supreme being that once stood above the heavens. Compared to that, Xiaoyan's path was strikingly similar, only far less complete. With such shared origins, how could there be no resonance? It seems, Xiaoyan muttered inwardly, this inheritance truly recognizes heavenly flame Do Qi. Xiaoyan, it appears the inheritance of the ancient god has chosen you. Gu Yuan's deep voice rang out slowly. His eyes were fixed on the pillar of light shrouding Xiaoyan, yet the calm he usually possessed was nowhere to be seen. Instead, a complex mixture of emotions surged within his gaze: astonishment, envy, longing, and a trace of helpless resignation. Even Gu Yuan found it difficult to maintain composure before the inheritance of the ancient god. For thousands of years, he too had pursued that very realm, the peak that stood above all living beings, the realm of Do Di. He had walked to the edge of that threshold countless times, yet fate had never opened that final door for him. And now, right before his eyes, that door had chosen to open for another. Still, Gu Yuan understood this truth better than anyone else. The inheritance of the ancient god could never be seized by force. It acknowledged only those it deemed worthy. And at this moment, the pillar of light had already given its answer. Yet Gu Yuan clearly understood that such matters could not be forced. The inheritance of the ancient god would choose its own successor. Everyone present had already been eliminated during the earlier trial of light. Moreover, Xiaoyan could be considered his son-in-law. Accepting the fact that the young man might become an elite Du Di was not something Gu Yuan found difficult. Upon hearing this, expressions of envy appeared on everyone's faces. One by one, they clasped their fists and offered congratulations to Xiaoyan. Though envy tinged their voices, joy outweighed it. No matter who inherited the ancient god's legacy, it meant at least one thing: they would gain a chance to contend against Hun Tiandi. Tush! Luck truly leaves one speechless. Jukun sighed before continuing. Since the ancient god's inheritance has chosen you, accept it without hesitation. As long as you step into the Do Di realm before Hun Tiandi, this calamity will resolve itself. Xiaoyan hesitated briefly, then nodded softly. He was acutely aware of the dire situation. Once Hun Tiandi completed the final refinement of the Dai-tier embryonic pill, the alliance would face the most merciless revenge. Given the nature of the Hun clan, mercy would be non-existent. Even the slaughter of entire clans would not be unthinkable. Everyone, please rest assured. Xiaoyan clasped his fists toward the crowd, his voice deep and resolute. I, Xiaoyan, will give everything I have. Haha. As for the Hun clan and Hun Tiandi, we will do our utmost to hold them back. Yan Jin laughed. Hopefully we can endure until you emerge from seclusion. Xiaoyan contemplated for a moment before sweeping his gaze across the surroundings. I intend to move this entire square into the Heavenly Tomb. I should be able to gain more time there. The Heavenly Tomb. Yuan nodded in agreement. A wise choice. Time flows more slowly there than in the outside world. It should buy you precious time. There's no time to waste. I'll act now. Xiaoyan moved with lightning speed. With a wave of his sleeve, a massive spatial rift tore open in the sky, rapidly expanding before swallowing the square and the stone statue whole. Uncle Gu, if the alliance is defeated and can no longer resist, please shatter this jade piece. I will immediately end my retreat. With a flick of his finger, a spiritual jade token shot toward Yuan. Yuan accepted it solemnly and nodded. Such a scenario was not impossible. I will inform Xun and the others, Yuan said softly, his gaze fixed on Xiaoyan. Everything rests on you now. Lei Ying and the rest wore grim expressions as they clasped their fists toward Xiaoyan. If Xiaoyan succeeded, the tide would turn. If he failed, annihilation awaited them all. Xiaoyan drew a deep breath as he faced the many solemn gazes. His life had never been easy. He had only just rescued his father, yet now an even heavier burden pressed down upon his shoulders. This time, he could not afford to fail. He quietly returned everyone's salute, then lifted his head to gaze at the incomparably vast light cauldron suspended in the distant sky. At its center spread a sea of blood, within which a vague human silhouette sat cross-legged. Hun Tiandi, next we'll see who reaches that realm first. His eyes locked onto the sea of blood. Turning sharply, Xiaoyan stepped into the slowly closing spatial rift. In the blink of an eye, both his figure and the rift vanished. Yuan and the others stared at the empty space, their fists unconsciously clenching. The coming period would be a true test of their limits. Let us hope we can hold on until Xiaoyan emerges from seclusion, Yuan muttered softly. He then descended into the grand hall, with the others following closely behind. Orders were issued in rapid succession as the enormous alliance army was mobilized. Far away in the sky, a vast sea of blood churned. A thick stench of blood permeated the land, while terrifyingly abundant energy surged within the crimson ocean. At its center floated a blood lotus. A disheveled figure sat upon it endlessly, drawing in the colossal energy of the surroundings and the sea of blood. That energy poured into him like a raging flood. The figure was like a bottomless abyss, effortlessly absorbing power that would have caused even an elite Du Sheng to explode, without showing the slightest sign of saturation. The figure suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. Those eyes were filled with blood-red light, sending a chill down one's spine. This fluctuation. Hun Tiandi frowned slightly. Moments ago, he had sensed a trace of unease, yet it vanished before he could examine it further. Was it merely my imagination? He muttered to himself. The colossal formation enveloping the central plains placed immense pressure upon him. Even after forming an initial fusion with the Dai-tier embryonic pill, the strain was enormous. Were it not for the deep foundation of the Hun clan sustaining the formation, it would have collapsed long ago. He could not afford to divert his focus. A ripple appeared behind him as black flames coalesced into a human figure, the nihility devouring flame. How goes the clan? Hun Tiandi asked calmly without turning around. Over 1 million descendants have been cast into the blood pool, nihility devouring flame replied. Still, it is insufficient to sustain the formation. A glint flashed in his eyes. Once he and Hun Tiandi stood as equals. But after Hun Tiandi obtained the Dai-tier embryonic pill, the balance had tilted. He could only endure. Throw in all descendants captured from the Ling Shi and Yao clans, Hun Tiandi said indifferently. If that is still not enough, sacrifice our own clan's descendants. I require sufficient energy to complete the final step. Even our own clan, nihility devouring flame exclaimed. That will provoke strong opposition from the elders. You know how to deal with dissenters. Hun Tiandi chuckled softly. The blood lotus rotated as his blood-soaked eyes fixed upon nihility devouring flame. Understand this, I will pay any price to reach that realm. Any price. If I fail, the Hun clan will be destroyed. And when that happens, even you will struggle to survive. Black flames flickered violently within nihility devouring flame's eyes. At last he nodded. Rest assured, Hun Tiandi laughed. Once I reach that realm, I will find a way for you to break through as well. Until then, do your duty. Understood. Nihility devouring flame vanished from the sea of blood. Hun Tiandi smiled faintly as he watched him leave, a strange glimmer passing through his eyes. The Hun clan's survival had long depended on nihility-devouring flame. In the hearts of many elders, he was even more important than Hun Tiandi himself, for as long as he existed, the Hun clan would never decline due to bloodline decay. Hun Tiandi was fully aware of this. He had simply never spoken of it. But that reliance would soon come to an end. If I become a Dudi, Hun Tiandi murmured, I will need to refine a proper life flame. His blood-red eyes grew cold and dark. The blood lotus rotated once more as he closed his eyes, continuing to absorb the vast energy forcefully extracted from the central plains. At that moment, an extremely faint black glow flashed silently through the sea of blood. A tiny black flame seed was quietly extinguished. The moment was fleeting, hidden beneath the overwhelming energy of the blood sea. Even Hun Tiandi failed to notice it. Outside the Hun realm, nihility-devouring flame gazed coldly at the enormous blood pool stretching hundreds of thousands of feet below. Countless figures were being thrown into it, their agonized screams echoing through the sky. He watched in silence. A black flame flickered on his fingertip. His body stiffened slightly. Slowly his fists clenched, and a bone-chilling coldness flashed through his eyes. Heavenly Tomb. A vast square floated high in the sky, upon which stood a colossal stone statue that soared nearly 100,000 feet into the heavens. A faint yet oppressive pressure blanketed the entire heavenly tomb, instilling a deep, soul-originating dread within the countless spiritual bodies dwelling inside. Xiao stood upon the square, his gaze fixed on the incomparably massive ancient god stone statue before him. He took a deep breath, then solemnly bowed in reverence. After that, his body slowly rose into the air, eventually coming to a halt before the hollow in the statue's chest. The surface of the hollow shimmered with a faint water ripple-like radiance. Though the light appeared gentle, Xiao dared not underestimate it. After all, it was precisely this seemingly fragile glow that had earlier forced experts such as Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun to their knees. At that moment, Little Yi flashed into existence atop Xiao shoulder. The purifying demonic lotus flame surged forth, wrapping protectively around his body. Success or failure will be decided here, Xiao murmured softly. Determination surged within his eyes as he stepped forward without hesitation, striding straight into the hollow of the stone statue. Buzz. As Xiao passed through the faint light, he clearly sensed a probing force sweeping across his body. Flesh, blood, bones, even his very soul, none of it escaped the inspection. It felt as though every secret he possessed had been laid bare at that instant. Fortunately, despite the meticulous scrutiny, the light displayed no sign of rejection toward him. Suddenly, Xiao vision blurred as a wave of dizziness surged through his mind. The sensation lasted only a moment. When Xiao regained clarity, he discovered that the world around him had completely transformed. Brilliant flames filled his vision. Undoubtedly, this was a sea of fire, one that shimmered with countless colors, dazzling to the point of leaving one awestruck. A sea of heavenly flames. Xiao descended and gently reached out, grasping a strand of violet flame that drifted before him. A familiar warmth welled up in his heart as he unconsciously murmured, 3,000 burning flame. He stepped forward, walking deeper into the sea, where innumerable heavenly flames converged. As he moved, the flames began to gather around him, as if drawn by an innate affinity. It seems your constitution is greatly favored by the heavenly flames. An elderly voice, tinged with faint amusement, suddenly echoed across the sea of fire. Xiao was startled. He immediately lifted his head, gazing toward a spot not far away. Flames gathered there, condensing into a massive firebud that slowly bloomed. From within it emerged an elderly figure, clad in a deep-colored robe. The old man's appearance was unremarkable, his expression calm and ordinary were it not for his long, multicolored hair, blazing with radiant hues. He would have seemed no different from a common elder. Seated within the firebud, the old man regarded Xiao with an inscrutable smile. Xiao had seen this figure many times before, yet those encounters had been mere illusions or replicas. This time, however, Xiao knew with absolute certainty, this was the true Tu-Shi ancient god. Even if it was but a remnant shadow or a fragment of soul, this existence was still the legendary final Du-Di of the Do-Chi continent. This junior Xiao greets elder ancient god. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Xiao bowed deeply in respect. It seems the dwelling I left behind has finally been opened. Taoshi ancient god smiled faintly, waving his hand as the surrounding sea of flames surged and formed another firebud before Xiao Sit. Xiaoyan did not hesitate. With a flash, he seated himself upon the firebud. Being so close to this legendary figure caused waves of emotion to surge within him. Only now did he notice faint fire seedlings rising from Tushi ancient god's long, brilliant hair. Understanding dawned upon him. As Ju Kun had said, Tosha ancient god was originally a heavenly flame that had evolved by devouring the other 21 heavenly flames. Of the heavenly flame ranking, cultivating over immeasurable years to finally reach the Do-Di realm. Xiaoyan carefully counted the colors within that radiant hair. There were exactly 21. Has a new Do-Di appeared on the Do-Chi continent in this era? Taosha, ancient god, asked with a gentle smile. Elder is still the last Do-Di of the continent, Xiaoyan replied after a brief hesitation. No one has reached that realm since you. As expected. Taosha, ancient god, nodded calmly, showing no surprise. Does Elder know the reason? Xiaoyan asked. I once heard my ancestor say that compared to ancient times, the current Du-Chi continent seems to be missing a mysterious energy. Your ancestor was perceptive indeed. Tao She, ancient god, chuckled. That is correct. As time flowed on, the Do-Chi continent gradually lost something crucial, something essential to stepping into the Do-Di realm. Without it, no matter how extraordinary one's talent, they can only halt beneath the heavens. What is it? Xiaoyan asked softly, frowning. Origin. Taosha, ancient god, spoke the word gently, yet it carried unfathomable depth. Origin. In ancient times, it was called Origin Qi, a mysterious energy formed alongside the birth of the world itself, Shi, ancient god, explained. Only by absorbing Origin Qi can one break through the final barrier to Do-Di. Every plane is born with a limited amount of Origin Qi. It cannot regenerate. Each time it is consumed, it is permanently lost. Dao-Di is an existence that transcends the world. The birth of every Do-Di exhausts a vast quantity of Origin Qi. With consumption and no replenishment, it was inevitable that it would eventually run dry. And thus, the Do-Chi continent can no longer produce Do-Di. Xiaoyan let out a bitter laugh. The splendor of the ancient era had left the descendants to bear the consequences. Someone has already obtained the Dai-Tier embryonic pill you left behind, Xiaoyan said solemnly. That person is currently slaughtering countless lives, forcefully extracting energy to complete the pill. The Dai-Tier embryonic pill contains a trace of Origin Qi. Toshi, ancient god, replied calmly. If he truly completes it, advancing to Do-Di would not be impossible. He then turned his gaze toward Xiaoyan. I know why you have come. Xiaoyan clasped his hands and bowed deeply. I hope Elder will aid me. This is a calamity threatening the entire Do-Chi continent. I care little for calamities, Toshi, ancient god, laughed lightly. You should know my true nature. However, since you have reached this place, you are naturally the most suitable inheritor of my legacy. Elder, thank you for your favor, Xiaoyan said with unconcealed joy. Taosha, ancient god, waved his hand, beckoning lightly. Instantly, a cluster of pink flame emerged from Xiaoyan's body, transforming into a tiny fire infant in his palm, Little Yi, purifying demonic lotus flame. Taoshi, ancient god, smiled softly. It has been a long time. Little Yi stared at him coldly, hatred and confusion flickering across its small face. It spoke no words, only a vague sense of fear and complicated emotions lingered deep within it. It seems you still hate me greatly. Unbothered, Toshi, ancient god, turned to Xiaoyan. There is a familiar aura within your body, Toshi, ancient god, said slowly, his eyes narrowing slightly as though peering through layers of time itself. If my judgment is not mistaken, you cultivate a Qi method capable of devouring heavenly flames. The moment those words fell, Xiaoyan's heart skipped a beat. A flicker of shock flashed across his face. He instinctively wanted to deny it, yet before this being who had once stood at the pinnacle of the world, any concealment would be laughable. After a brief hesitation, he lowered his head and nodded silently. That Qi method. Taosha, ancient god, chuckled softly, the sound carrying a hint of nostalgia. It is truly remarkable. Back then, it was precisely this method that laid the foundation for my rise. Xiaoyan's pupils contracted violently. Elder, his voice trembled despite himself. Could it be that you were the one who created the flame mantra? The Taosha, ancient god, shook his head gently, a faint smile forming at the corners of his lips. No, he replied. I did not create it. When my consciousness was first born, when I was still wandering in a state of chaos and ignorance, I happened upon this chi method by chance. That single encounter altered my destiny forever. His gaze drifted into the distance as though he were looking across countless eras. Even to this day, I have never met its true creator. Whoever that being was, they must have been an existence no less astonishing than fate itself. Xiaoyan felt a storm surge within his heart. The flame mantra. This chi method that had accompanied him through countless life and death struggles had an origin even the Tushi ancient god could not trace. The weight of that realization made his breathing grow heavy. Fate is truly a wondrous thing. Toshi ancient god sighed softly. If one follows its threads carefully, perhaps, you and I can be considered fellow disciples. Those words struck Xiaoyan like a thunderclap. For a moment his mind went completely blank. To be considered a fellow disciple of the Toshi ancient god, such a notion was so overwhelming that even his resolute heart trembled. Enough reminiscing, Tusha ancient god said, with a faint smile waving aside the tangled threads of the past. He lifted a finger and gently flicked it forward. In an instant, the endless sea of fire roared. The flames surged violently as though awakened from an eternal slumber. Countless heavenly flames converged, intertwining and roaring as they gathered into the shape of a colossal fire dragon. The dragon let out a silent roar, its body coiling through the sea of flames before violently compressing upon itself. Moments later, the blazing dragon collapsed inward. From its core emerged a fist-sized lotus radiant beyond words. Fire seedlings danced upon its petals, each flame carrying an ancient, terrifying aura as if they contained fragments of the heavens themselves. Taosha, ancient god, looked at the lotus calmly, his expression serene yet solemn. My inheritance lies here, he said evenly. As for whether you can truly step into the Dodi realm, his gaze shifted to Xiaoyan, piercing and profound. That, he concluded, will depend entirely on your own destiny. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.